Hey everybody, and welcome to Bratislava, Slovakia. Let's start with a boat ride on the Danube River. Bratislava is the capital and largest city of Slovakia. Its population is estimated at about 500,000, but it's probably more. The city is the political, cultural, and economic center of the country. Bratislava sits in southwestern Slovakia, occupying both banks of the river Danube. Bordering Austria and Hungary, it is the only national capital that borders two sovereign states. Here's a look at some contemporary architecture situated on the river in the city center. Broadslava Castle, the most prominent structure in the city. It sits on a plateau 85 meters above the Danube. Here's the UFO. Take the elevator up to the observation deck for a great view of the city. On a beautiful summer day up on the observation deck, there's visibility for miles. Okay, let's talk about the Danube. The river was once a long-standing frontier of the Roman Empire and today flows through 10 countries. Originating in Germany, the Danube flows southeast for 2,850 kilometers, passing through or bordering Austria, Slovakia, Hungary, Croatia, Serbia, Romania, Bulgaria, Moldova, and Ukraine before draining into the Black Sea. Since ancient times, the Danube has been a traditional trade route in Europe. The river is also an important source of hydropower and drinking water. "95 meters up. That's right. It's an incredible view of the city of Bratislava on the Danube. Now let's rejoin our vessel on the water. As we cruise the river, we can see Bratislava's expanding modernity. This is the Apollo Bridge, spanning the Danube at 854 meters long, completed in 2005. Okay, so let's head inside now to the Museum of Viticulture to sample some great Bratislava local wine. That's next up on the Brewshow. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Brewshow. Today we're in Bratislava. We are at the Slovak National Collection of Wines, and this is Peter.
Hello.
And Ilu. Peter, can you please tell us something about the city wine, the Bratislava city wines we have here?
Okay, so the wine here that's also present in our collection are wines all from the company Vila Vino Rača, which is present or has a company placed in Bratislava, Rača part, which is also part of the wines growing region. Actually one of the oldest or biggest wine growing region, Little Carpathian wines growing region. Wines we have here are these three samples. It's firstly we start with Irsai Oliver white wine, very popular. Originally this grape comes from the Hungary, but it's also quite popular here. Then we try some rosé from the variety Blaufränkisch, or in our language Frankowka Modrá. And as the last one, also Blaufränkisch, Frankowka Modrá, but in the red category, vintage 2016, semi-dry.
Great. So what do we start with?
So as I told you, we start with Irsai Oliver, vintage 2018, semi-sweet category, from the company Vila Vino Rača. This wine, Irsai Oliver, belongs to the category of lighter aromatic varieties. In the nose, you will find some tones of muscatel flowers, a little bit of roses. In the taste, mostly tropical fruit, especially strong will be something citrusy like ripe oranges, ripe lemons, limettes, little bit of pomelos, and of course honey tones because it's in semi-sweet category.
The National Collection of Slovakian Wines is housed in the Museum of Viticulture. In the historic city center, it's easy to find. It's really delicious, actually. The honey comes really out, right? The honey is really apparent. Yeah, nice. Look, Ilu loves it, so that's great. Okay, I'll take one more sip. I actually forgot to do the nose, so I'll try the nose too. Citrusy on the nose, right? Right, okay.
Because in the taste, the residual sugar is higher, so in the taste you won't find that. Then you taste honey, not the citrusy taste, but in the nose it's typical. Also this citrusy nose.
Right. That's apparent, so okay. Now we're going to move on to the rosé.
So, as a second sample, I will give you Blaufränkisch or Frankowka Modrá, vintage 2019 wine attribute late harvest in the dry category from that company Vila Vino Rača. It's in their edition as monarch or cisárska in our language. So now this wine will be very fruity. It will be much drier than this semi-sweet wine, but really fruity. Typical will be tones of strawberries, a little bit of cherries, and on the end of your tasting you are supposed to taste some smoothie tones. Best to describe it as strawberry yogurt taste.
Strawberry yogurt, that sounds delicious. Nasravi. Slovakia produces about 350,000 hectoliters of wine per year. That's delicious. Really nice. Dry.
Refreshing.
As mentioned, Bratislava resides in the small Carpathian wine growing region. And now it looks like Peter has the red wine.
Okay, now in the red category I will once again give you variety Blaufränkisch or Frankowka Modrá, but this one, vintage 2016, wine attribute grape section, semi-dry category from the company Vila Rača, their category excellence. This wine will be in really nice, typical in the color, firstly, in the red, we must firstly talk about color. For the Frankowka Modrá belongs to the category, I think, lighter red varieties, but the color is really nice. A little bit darker ruby red. In the nose, mostly typical for this variety will be really fruity nose, especially of plums, a little bit of cherries, but more plums, and the taste will be even stronger with this fruit. Even tastes like plum jam or dry plums, and on the end, a little bit of milk chocolate tones.
I like the ending, milk chocolate.
So, please have a taste of red wine Frankovka Modrá from Bratislava.
That's very nice. What a nice invitation. Thank you very much. It's red wine from the city of Bratislava. Okay, Ilu, here we go. Na zdraví. Wow. Wow, that's a nice combination. Dry, semi-dry, dry, almost, but very fruity. I'm waiting for the chocolate now. There it is. The chocolate arrived. Okay. Very nice. What do you think, Ilu?
I think so, yes.
Good. Another thumbs up from Ilu. It's really important, the ladies' perspective. Okay. I think it's unfair. Peter didn't get a glass of wine, so now he's going to have some with us. Try that red. It's really good. It's really good. That's enough. He's on the job, so he can't drink too much of that stuff. So we say, you know what we say? We say na zdraví.
I'd like to thank Peter very much for his gracious invitation. Boy, those Bratislava wines are brilliant. Now let's take a guided tour through the city center on our way to one of Bratislava's top restaurants. That's next up on the Brewshow. Here we see the old Slovak National Theatre building. It sits on Vidoslav Square. It's a great place to start your walking tour. Slovakia enjoys a prime location in Central Europe, surrounded by Hungary, Austria, the Czech Republic, Poland, and Ukraine. Historically, Slovakia was part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. It's summer in the city, here overlooking the Danube. Before World War I, the city had a population that was 42% German, 41% Hungarian, and only 15% Slovak. The first post-war census in 1919 declared the city's ethnic composition at 36% German, 33% Slovak, and 29% Hungarian. Many people were bi- or trilingual and multicultural. After World War I and the formation of Czechoslovakia on October 28, 1918, the city was incorporated into the new country. On March 27, 1919, the name Bratislava was officially adopted for the first time. During the Second World War, the city unfortunately fell under the influence of Nazi Germany. At the end of the Second World War, ethnic Germans were evacuated from the city. After the Communist Party seized power in Czechoslovakia in February 1948, the city became part of the Eastern Bloc, with Slovaks now representing 90% of the population. Later in the 20th century, the city became one of the foremost centers of the anti-communist Velvet Revolution in 1989. And in 1993, the city became capital of the newly formed Slovak Republic following the Velvet Divorce. This separated Czechoslovakia into the Czech Republic and Slovakia. Many thanks to our city guide, Dagmar. When in Bratislava, look her up. She's informative, friendly, and fantastic. You know, all that history made me kinda hungry. Okay, school's out. Let's eat. Here we are at Broadslava restaurant. It's one of the best in town. Let's head inside for some local specialties. It's time to rock and roll, baby. Let's meet Chef Andre. Potato dumplings mixed with sheep cheese and topped with bacon. A Slovakian national dish. It's the Broadslava halushki. Now, from kitchen to the dining hall. It's rustic and grandiose. Come with a great appetite and your fantastic server will set the table. As you might imagine, this building has a very long history. In the 18th century, it was the Church of the Merciful Brothers. However, when the communists arrived, the Merciful Brothers were kicked out in 1950. After the communists were kicked out, the building was given back to the Merciful Brothers in 1995. Here they started the first private hospital in Slovakia. In 2008, the restaurant was installed and they started serving the delicious Slovakian specialties. We're enjoying the Slovak platter for two. For the full menu, just go to bratyslavskarestauracia.sk. And thanks again to Chef Andre. After dinner, I've got a big thirst. Let's catch the tram ride to beer. Next up on the Brewshow. As is in most European capitals, there's an extensive network of trams pulsing through Bratislava. You know, sometimes it's just a good idea to give your feet a rest and enjoy the ride. The length of the tram tracks in the city is 39.6 kilometers. There are 152 tram stops served by 8 lines, numbered 1 to 8. The maximum speed for the trams in Bratislava is restricted to 50 kilometers per hour. Public transportation in Bratislava is managed by Depravny Podnik, a city-owned company. The transport system is known as the MHD, Municipal Mass Transit. The history of public transportation in Bratislava began in 1895 with the opening of the first tram route. Bratislava is an excellent beer town, and one of the best pubs in town is also home to the Klasztorny Pivovar beer. It's the Slovak Pub. The Slovak Pub has its own keg room situated in the brick cellar in the basement. Keg beer is stored at 8 degrees Celsius. After that, the beer is just slightly cooled. The kegs come straight from the Klasztorny Pivovar and never come in contact with oxygen. That's the reason the beer tastes so good. You'll find the Slovak Pub at Obchabna Street 62, and you can get there using tram number 1. Once you're inside, you'll find 11 different rooms, each dedicated to a certain historical period of Slovakia. There's also great Slovakian comfort food like bronzové halušky. Okay, now to the source. It's the Klasztorny Pivovar. Next up on the Brewshow.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Brewshow. Today we're in Slovakia in the capital city, Bratislava. We're at the Klasztorny Pivovar. Pivovar, of course, means brewery, and we're lucky enough to have with us today Peter. He's the master brewer here. Peter, welcome to the show.
Zdravím všetkých, vítajte v Kláštornom pivovare. Moje meno je Peter a chcem vás privítať u nás v pivovare. Sme tradičný remeselný pivovar, varíme základné receptúry ležiakov, nevaríme moderné IPy, vrchne kvasené piva a snažíme sa osloviť čo najviac záujemcov, proste tradičné varenie piva, tradičný ležiak, vychutnáte si ho k jedlu. Napríklad dnes varíme tmavý ležiak. Veľmi obľúbený napríklad medzi dámami. Je to ľahšie pivo, menej horké. Napríklad hlavne české suroviny používame, slady, napríklad aj z Nemecka. A najznámejší chmel, sás.
You'll find the Klasztorny Brewery beers at the Slovak Pub. Yeah, there's my favorite. It's the blonde lager. It's got a great malt finish. Now let's get back to work in the brewery with Peter. Yeah, brewing beer is both simple and complicated at the same time. Simple because usually there's only 4 ingredients. Complicated because everything must be measured and monitored constantly. Here we see Peter giving the grain a stir in the mash tun. Every beer recipe requires malted barley. And there's usually a mix of different varieties. The brewing process is time-consuming, scientific, and labor-intensive. But you know, every brewer I've ever met has said they love their job. So let's have some fun. That was fun. The Klosterney Brewery has a 2-kettle system. This is the Brew Kettle. After the liquid wort has been created and the grain removed, it's passed on here to the Brew Kettle. Here, Peter raises the temperature in the Brew Kettle to bring the liquid wort to a boil. This is the lauter tun. The cracked grain is introduced to hot water to release the sugars and create the wort. This is the fermentation room. And here's the grain store. Yes, here come the hops. Peter will add the hops to the brew kettle. The hops provide the beer bitterness and aroma. Now it's time to take notes and wait until the boil is completed. Then on to fermentation and aging. After all this, the great lagers of the Klosterney Pivovar will be ready to enjoy. Yep, all in a day's work at the Klosterney Pivovar in Bratislava.
Well, that's our look at Bratislava, Slovakia. With its beautiful old town city center, fantastic wine and food, and of course, the delicious Klosterney Pivovar beer. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next time on the Brew Show. Cheers. That is delicious.